What is going on, guys? Today we're over at Best Buy because we're going to be looking at my next camera. So for those of you that may or may not know, I actually sold my Sony ZV-E10 and I'm looking to replace it with another camera. Preferably I'm going to look at another Sony. And I'm not planning on getting rid of my ZV or my FX30 because that's my kind of end all to be all cameras. But I do want another camera, kind of like another alternative in case I don't feel like wanting to bring my FX30. So we're over here at Best Buy. We're going to take a look and see what they got in stock and, see what I might want to buy later on. So let's go take a look. So this is where they pretty much keep most of their cameras. And again, a lot of these are point and shoot and some are not. Had the Panasonic lineup before. I heard that these do have some pretty good cameras. Um, their S lineup is pretty good, the S5s. That was my original Panasonic camera that I had before. It kind of went into the Sonys. So I really don't want to get another one of those. So these are all the Panasonics that they've got. I'm not really sure if I want to go back into a Panasonic. They do have some nice ones, and then they do have some point and shoots, but not really in the point and shoots because I have the ZV-1 already, so I don't want that. So I was hoping they might have had the ZV-E10s, but we're gonna go see what else they got. So these are pretty much all the lenses. These are most of their G Master lenses. I am looking at getting another lens. I'm just not sure what I want to get just quite yet. Most of these aren't labeled, so you don't really know what's what. But obviously anything that says G is a G Master lens. G Master, I don't believe that's a G Master. That could be a 50, that's a 50 millimeter and f1.8, which I've actually had those before, but for me doing talking head videos, it's a little too tight on me. I don't particularly care much for anything like a 50. I was hoping they might have had a 24, but it doesn't look like they have any 24s. They do have a Zeiss, but I don't know what that is because it's kind of, it's not really telling. Oh, it's a point. Well, it's not really telling me. So, but it's a Zeiss, so I'm assuming it's either a. Looks like it might be another 50, or could be a 24. Could really hoping to find a 35, but I've been unable to find one at Best Buy. They don't really sell a lot of stuff. This is typically what Best Buy has for a lot of their lenses. Here's a 35, but I believe that might be a G Master lens, which, if it is, I wonder how much that is, because that does look like that'd be a perfect lens right there. But we're gonna see what they have for cameras first. I really want to get a camera. So you have your typical 61s. Hoping they might have had a ZV-E10, maybe. Could jump into an A7 III, but I'm trying to avoid buying full frame cameras because I don't need those. I don't particularly care much for full frames. They're a lot more expensive for their lenses. This is the original camera I was gonna buy before I jumped into the FX30, then the A7C, which is originally what I was gonna buy before all that. So here's a ZV-E1, but doesn't look like they have the ZV-E10, which is a shame. But the ZV-E1 is as close to a ZV-E10 as they're going to probably have. So basically it's nothing more than just a full frame equivalent of the ZV-E10. So we're just going to take a look at this really quick and then just kind of get a grasp and kind of see maybe this might be the camera, although I don't want to do full frame. Maybe they might have a ZV-E10 eventually. So I actually never really held the ZV-E10 before, ZV-E1. So it is a little bit different than the ZV-1 when I had it, but it's not too bad. Again, it's a full frame equivalent of what I already had before. I'm looking for an APS-C sensor because I have APS-C sensor lenses, so it makes no sense to me to buy a full frame lens and then spend more money on something like that when APS-C sensor work perfectly fine. Now, obviously, you can always buy like a full frame equivalent of an APS-C sensor lens. I just would rather not want to go through that trouble of doing that because it just costs a lot more. Otherwise, not really sure. ZV-1 is kind of nice, don't get me wrong. It's a great camera. I made a video on why I wouldn't buy one, and I'm still going to stick to that. It's pretty expensive for what it is and the camera lineup it's in. So the ZV lineups are pretty much were originally created to be vlogging cameras, and although the ZV-1 is still a vlogging camera, it's just a full frame version of what they already have. So I don't really see a reason into buying this. It just doesn't seem like it makes sense. I was hoping they might have had a ZV-E10, but they don't. So this is basically just an equivalent of it, just in, like I said, a mirrorless version, or the APS-C censored version of this one. Otherwise, this is the right lens I'd be looking at. I don't know what lens this is. It's f3.5 to, so this is probably, okay, it's a 28 to 70. So this is what this looks like. So it's possible. I'm also looking at getting another lens for my ZV-1. Right now I'm shooting on the 11mm f1.8, but I also have the Sigma 16. But I want to get another prime lens. Although zooms are kind of nice, I've still been looking at those. Not really sure yet. This is a 28 to 70 that they got on this. And I'm not really much for zoom lenses because I don't do anything that really requires it. But this is what they have. It's not too bad. The one thing that you'll get used to if you have an FX30 is you get the dual SD card slot. This one, you've only got the single slot. So I would imagine that the ZV-E10 is going to be the same. It doesn't look like, I don't know what that is. So you got a USB-C and a head, you know, USB-C and a 3.5 plug-in. I don't see where the HDMI would come in unless it's in here, but it's not. So I'm guessing it's got to be either on the bottom or on the side somewhere, which is kind of cool. But okay, so see, it's still micro HDMI. So that's, you know, a reason why I probably wouldn't get this, because I like HDMI because pretty much that's what I have. What I don't like about this is the way it just doesn't close. You kind of have to actually force close. I would forget that every time I need to use one of these would be to go like that. So that just really won't really work for me. But again, it's still asking a lot for just the camera. It's $2,500, which is, I still think, a lot of money for, you know, a camera that's basically designed as a vlogging camera, when I think the A7S III is still going to be a much better camera than the ZV-E1. I mean, I'll probably get a lot of hate comments for that, but I think the A7S III will still be the better camera. It's just, like I said, I don't want to jump into a full frame camera. Otherwise, they don't really have a lot. They had a lot more before I left here for Cali, but they seem to not really have a lot. I don't want to go into another brand like the Nikons or the Canons, because there's nothing really Canon has that I particularly care for. And when it comes to color science, I don't really care about color science because I'm not really doing anything, you know, commercial grade wise or anything like that. Otherwise, that does tend to be, you know, a downer. Otherwise, I do have A6000, which again, it's really only going to serve as like a B-roll camera. But they do have an A6100 with a kit lens of 16 to 50 millimeter. It's 849. That's not too bad. But these do not have OSS. The lens does, but the camera does not. So that's why I'm looking at the Sony ZV-E10, because it has a flip out screen, whereas the A6000s do not have that, unless I jump into the A7C, and that's, you know, I'm not want to go full frame. Otherwise, that is pretty much kind of what they have. It's just, like I said, in Alaska, we just don't have a lot of, you know, camera places. Just Stewart's, which I was just at, and then Best Buy, unless I jump all the way over to our other one way across the town, which is, you know, kind of a long drive. So that's just what you get for living in Alaska. If you ever want to buy camera gear, something wrong with Best Buy. It's kind of hard to get stuff, especially when they don't really stock it. They don't keep a lot of it in hand. As you can see from, you know, this is pretty much what they got. Like I said, the A3, A7 III, or the A7, or the A7 III, and then you got the A7S III. There's a reason probably why these are still here, because of the price, because that's what you're looking at for price. $2,000, and that does, I don't know if that comes with a kit lens or not, but I would imagine it probably does. And then you got the A7S III, which is the better version of it, which does come with a kit lens, but then you're looking at, you know, that price. So that does tend to be, you know, a lot more pricier than what most people want to spend. Again, when it comes to buying a camera, especially when it comes to learning vlogging, it is, you know, you don't have to spend a lot of money. Like I said, that's the ZV-E10 right there. That's what I'd love to get, but they don't have anything. So it's unfortunate, but again, I mean, it's not uncommon. But like I said, it depends on what you want in a camera. But this is pretty much what they have for their Sony lineup. They just don't really have a lot, at least not now. And what they do have is nothing I really want. They do have some nice lenses. They have a lens or two that I might look at getting. The FE, it's a 35mm f1.8. I have to see how much that is because they don't have a price on it, unfortunately. Otherwise, this is what an f1.8 would look like on a camera, especially on an FX30. It's not a stabilized lens, which I'm assuming that is not either, so it's going to be about the same. But this is using my Sony remote and just at arm's length, so this is kind of what I like. But a 35 would be a little bit like, I guess, a little bit closer, but not superly tight fit. And again, I'm not really using this in 4K. I'm shooting at 1080, where I believe the stabilizer is actually off. So, but otherwise, yeah. So that's pretty much kind of what they have. Maybe they might have some SD cards, but otherwise, this is pretty much what our local Best Buy typically has. So as you can see, this is pretty much what they have for SD cards. You know, they're out. Then this is what they have for tripods. I just ordered a new tripod, so that'll be coming in the mail Tuesday, so I'll probably do an unboxing of that. And then that's pretty much kind of it. That's really all that I got for you today. Just kind of camera shopping. Want to see what they may or may not have, but it doesn't look like they have anything other than those lenses. And that's pretty much it. Like I said, I don't want to jump into another Panasonic because I've already had Panasonics. I know that Panasonic has improved on their cameras, especially when it comes to their stabilization, which is the number one thing that a lot of people were talking about, was the stabilization on these suck. But they have gotten pretty good at it. But again, micro four thirds lens, we don't really get a lot of those up here. The only place I can get a micro four thirds lens other than here in Best Buy is at Stewart's downtown. And if I need one and it's like after 6 o'clock, it's kind of hard to get that when they're closing at 6. So that is pretty much it. Otherwise, yeah, that's what we got for cameras. Not really impressed so far. Other than that, that's all I got. So again, I want to thank everybody for watching. And again, if you're new to my channel, please think about hitting that subscribe button, hitting that bell notification. That way you don't miss content when I drop it. And I'll see you guys in the next video.